Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your boy Samuel again, and today I've got a very interesting topic on how to deal with stress, exam stress. Now, okay, you have prepared for exams, you have followed my tips on how to prepare for exams, you have followed my tip on how to study, and okay, let's say you're studying for an exam and you notice that it's 1 month away and or it's a week away and you're having this exam stress. So today I'm going to talk about how to prevent those exam stress or how to limit those stress for exam. So stay tuned with me, guys. So what is this exam stress? Now to me, I think exam stress is kind of like a very unrealistic high expectation that you actually have either from your peers, your family, your friends, or even people around you. Maybe you want to impress your family, you want to score high, or you sometimes stress could also come from yourself within yourself. You might be stressed that okay, I want to do well, or I want to get into university with this exam, or I want to score very high so I can impress other people or impress yourself. Now, these are just some kind of like unrealistic high expectation that you are actually giving to yourself, and eventually this will lead to stress when the exam is coming close. So today we're going to talk about a few tips on how I dealt with my stress or how you can deal with your stress. So tip number one is study ahead for the exam. Now, one thing that I noticed about a lot of people who have actually talked to me about exam stress is they are not actually fully prepared. They mostly prepare at maybe a month to exam. I remember when I was having, I think, one of my exams here, and that was before I started studying. Sha. And I started studying, I think, a week or a month to exam. Yeah, I think a month to exam. And this exam was about for I was giving this exam. I had about a year to study. I didn't study for that whole year. I had to study for 1 month, and I was having this exam fever. This exam anxiety or fear or stress or something. Sometimes we even call it exam fever or stuff like that. And I noticed that these exam stress are usually coming from people who are not actually prepared. So one thing that I will always actually tell them is actually prepare for the exam even before the exam. Like myself, I sometimes I prepare for exam 6 months even before the exam. Now you might prepare 3 months, you might prepare 4 months. It depends on how well you grab. Now I don't grab very well. I don't grab very fast. So tend to prepare earlier than almost everyone. Now this will actually help you in the long run because before the exam you notice that yeah every single topic you want to cover you have gone through them because most things that cause stress is when you want to go for the exam. Let's say it's a week to your exam and you're noticing that there's about 3 or 4 topics that you have not actually covered, and your mind start telling you what if this question comes out, how are you going to deal with them, what if this question come out, how are you going to deal with them. Now these are the things, these are part of things that causes stress. Now I remember when I was also studying for my exam and my friends would come over and they're like, have you read especially those topic, I think PH scale, have you read PH scale, have you read this, have you read that. And I was like, oh, is this thing? Or they were asking me questions, and I was like, is this thing even in this? Where did you guys read this thing from? And I was having this stress, this exam stress. So this thing is always prepare for exam. So even when you are going for the exam, the stress you will have is going to be very limited. Though you might have stress, but it won't cause you to panic. And this exam stress sometimes happen. Some people actually say exam stress happen before exam, but to me, I think it happened before exam, during the exam, and after exam. So prepare before the exam in order for you to not have this stress. Now, another thing is create an exam for yourself. Now, I remember when I was writing an exam, my exam was actually computer-based exam, which is CBT, some people call it. Now, it was computer-based exam, and one thing I noticed was if you give me a pen and paper to solve a question, I will solve it very easily, very well. But once I see this question in front of me in the computer, I feel anxious, I feel scared to solve those questions because although the question is the same thing, but looking at it directly from the monitor, sorry, or looking at it from the computer, I'm always like, this question might be a bit hard. And it's not really hard. It's just the same thing that you actually solve with your pen and paper. It's written to you, written in front of you in your computer. You just need to write down the solution. But to me, I was always scared whenever I look at a monitor or whenever I look at the screen and I see a question coming towards me. And I was like, this question is very difficult. But end of the day, when I take it back home and I try solving it with pen and paper, I feel like this thing is actually very easy. So try taking an exam. If you know that you are scared of a CBT exam, try taking more of CBT exam to help yourself because that was what made me fail. I think my first exam, I was very scared of CBT exam until after my first exam, I decided, okay, let me try CBT exam, and I started doing CBT, more of CBT exam, more of CBT exam until I conquered those my fear of exam. So one thing, if you know that okay, it might be CBT or it might just be pen and paper that you're actually scared of, you prefer CBT exam, try solving pen and paper for yourself. Try solving some pen and paper questions. Give yourself exam questions. Solve it. Grade yourself. Know how well you're actually doing. And you notice that by the time you do this 4 or 5 times, you become very used to that exam that you're actually scared of. So if it's a CBT exam, try working more on CBT exam. If it is pen and paper, try working more on pen and paper exams and give yourself an exam, like I said, and grade yourself. So by the time you're grading yourself and you're working on those things, by the time the exam is closed or even on the day of exam, you won't have that exam fear. And another thing which I think people should actually stop, most especially those people who are actually writing the exam, is they feel too confident that okay, I've studied for this exam, I'm sure I'm going to get 100, I'm sure I'm going to get everything, I'm sure I'm going to get 90, at least my lowest point should be 90. I remember when I went to write an exam and I was like, I'm going to get 95. In fact, if I even feel too much, 90. That was how I came home and I was boasting that I scored high and everything. And what did I get? 60, I think 69 or 70. So you don't always have to be confident that this exam you're actually good. Now, I remember, like, let me talk about a story about myself. When I was in training in tutorial, and there was kind of like a quiz between me and someone, and this guy that I was actually going against was actually studying, but not really as me. I was actually like looking at said that I'm better than this guy, because I was always studying 4 or 5 hours, and this guy was always the one that's playing around. He would just come once in a while, just take an hour study, then use the remaining one to play. So he wasn't really that bright, and I was like, when our teacher um put me against him, I was going to go against each other. We are going to go against each other. I was like confident that okay, this exam, I'm sure I'm going to win. I'm sure I'm going to do this one. I was even all my mind was, even though I don't even get 90, whatever score I get, I'm sure I'm going to beat this guy with about 10 mark extra. So the exam started, and I was very shocked at the result because I think the guy passed me at about 8 marks, and I was very surprised. I was like, what do you mean by 8 marks? I was like, no, no, I'm not going to accept. I'm not going to accept, and so on and so forth. Then my teacher actually called me and he told me something. He said he noticed something. I was actually confident in the exam. I was confident in myself that how he intentionally put me against this guy to actually write the exam just to teach me a lesson. Because I was actually confident that this exam I'm going to pass, or this guy, if I come against this guy, I'm going to win him. I'm going to get higher marks than him. I was so on and so forth. I was confident that I was going to be the top. I was going to be the winner. And when I lose, he told me about that I should actually try to reduce the confidence. And that is one thing that a lot of people do. Now, they actually get confident that I'm going to write this exam very well, I'm going to do this very well, and eventually they actually fail. Now, this, I know most of you are like, what do you mean? How is this concerned with exam stress? Now, the truth is, when you are confident about this exam, you notice that maybe a day or two to exam, you have, especially some people when they are very confident, they tend to, okay, I'm not going to read again, I'm sure I'm going to pass this, I don't need to read again. And 2 days to exam and you're like, see this topic, I've not actually read this topic, or they've noticed that they have actually forgotten something that they read, and they start reading just in a hurry just to finish that particular topic. Now this will cause exam stress because now your brain will telling you, what if this question comes out, how are you going to answer? What if this question comes out, how are you going to answer it? So don't be confident. Keep reading. That's one thing I'll tell you. Keep reading continuously, continuously, continuously. Even though you feel like that you have actually read everything, don't stop. Keep reading. Don't feel confident that okay, yes, I'll pass this exam. No. Now another thing I had to take away was when when he brought the guy question, because after we talked about the confidence, he brought up the guy question and he was like, look at the question. I think the boy got, I think out of 50 he got 30 some 30, I think 32 or something like that. And when I read the exam, I got everything right, as in everything from the guy's question. He told me that sometimes you don't always have to use one exam to decide yourself, to decide what you what you know. Now when I saw that thing, I felt bad that I couldn't beat this, but I felt like this guy that I was actually studying again, as in I know that I was actually good. This was the guy that I was actually teaching in class. How come he scored higher than me? And I felt bad, and he told me that sometimes you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to let one exam decide how brilliant you are or how good you are. Some people are just having luck. Yeah, so people have luck, and I think that that was actually what helped them. Now the guy question, he was one set that was set the guy question. And the guy, he set it very easy. He set his question very extremely easy, and he told me that he was sure I was not going to pass the guy because some of the questions he gave me was not even my level question. I think they were higher level questions, so he knew I was going to fail it. And he just wanted to teach me a lesson. And truth be told, was I actually learned stuff. So so sometimes you don't always have to make this. um one particular exam feel like it's how brilliant you are. Yeah, you don't have to make this exam feel like how brilliant you are. Now, if you're writing this exam, just write it, do your best. That's what I'll tell you. Do your best. Just write the exam. Know that what you did was actually what you know. Now you can't actually change it. There's some things you can't actually change, and the exam scores are some things that you can't change. So do your best. Go into the exam. Write what you can write. Don't no need to feel scared. Yeah, everyone will feel scared, but you don't actually have to panic. This is just an exam. This is one exam. You're gonna have a lot and tons of exams that will actually determine your life more than sorry determine your future more than that exam. That exam might just be the basic of your exam. You're going to get to some point whereby if you fail that exam, you have failed every single thing you have done. So what will you do at that exam when you are panicking at just this lower exam? So don't feel scared. Just go in, write what you know. Well, luck might shine on your side and you might actually get higher. Your question might be very easy. Even though like luck doesn't shine on your side, your question is very tough. Don't panic. Yeah, you tried. You just go in there, do your best, write what you can write, and hopefully you will come out very successfully. So and sorry, my last tip that I want to give, which is actually a bonus tip, is let it go. Just let it go. Now, most people after writing the exam, they will be like, okay, what did you get here? What did you get here? What did you write here? What did you write here? What did you pick in number four? What did you pick in number five? And these people who they are not even sure of their answer will start telling you number two, B, number three, C, number four, A, and you are not looking like I choose number four, E, I choose number five, another thing, and you're like, oh God, did I fail this exam? And you start having this exam stress, exam anxiety, exam fear. Now, this is usually the one that happens after exam. Let it go. That's one thing I always do. Let it go. Don't even speak. To me, after writing exam, I just leave. I don't speak to anybody because I know that even though I speak to them and these guys make me feel bad, there is nothing. I remember when I went for an exam in a school, and sorry, I can't talk about the name of the school. And there was this guy. He was the head boy in the school, and I was like, wow. And he was sitting close to me. I was like, wow. If I stay with this guy, then I'm sure that I'll get everything. I was really happy that staying with the head boy. With the school was a very big school in my area at then. So I felt like staying with a guy that's head boy in this kind of big school, it would be really, really. In fact, his head would be hot. So I felt like I was sitting close to a gold ring or gold some stuff like that. I was very happy that I had the opportunity to sit down near the the head boy in the school. And after we were writing the exam, I was very surprised that I think there was a teacher that was actually scolding, or some, I think the invigilator or something like that, was actually scolding that you don't even know this easy exam. And sorry, I can't say the name of the exam. I was very surprised when the man said the question. I was very surprised that this guy doesn't know this answer. Like this was answer that even my own younger brother will answer. I was very surprised that so this guy doesn't actually know this. So what was I even waiting for? I was actually writing the exam that if this guy was done, I would actually ask him for a few questions. I don't want to ask because I'm not the kind of person that I bug people in exam. I prefer that I write my exam and I'm done with it. But I was feeling like okay, if I could write the one I know, at least I can just ask him. The remaining one can just be three or four questions I can ask from him. Well, after hearing that this guy could not even answer the first question I answered, I just stepped back because I knew that this guy was not even going to be an help for me. So don't actually believe what other people are saying. And those one, Susope said number one is A, and it's a brilliant guy. It should be A. No, as long as you are sure of what you're writing, just keep quiet, go write your exam, and go home. That's all. You don't always have to believe in what one person is saying or what another person is saying. Write your exam, and that's all. Now, another thing that I noticed that most people have stress is doing it. This one is basically doing exam. People have stress doing exam because maybe their friends are asking for extra sheet, or this person asks for extra sheet, or next person asks for extra sheet. And don't be intimidated by those people asking extra sheet. Now, when you notice that these people are writing the same exam with me, they are asking for extra sheet, and you're looking like, I'm not even asking for any extra sheet. You will start feeling this stress that you need an extra sheet. Now, I remember when I was in secondary school, and every one of us were asking for extra sheet, extra sheet. There was a particular girl that didn't actually ask for an extra sheet, and we're like, she won't score high, she doesn't even know what she's writing. And funny enough, this girl came out with I think 95 over 100. She beat all of us that asked for extra sheet. And the man was like, look at all of you asking extra sheet, extra sheet. Most of you just took extra sheet and just filled one line. So what was the use of the extra sheet? So don't be intimidated by those people who are asking for extra sheet. You might even be writing better than them. Some people will write, maybe write half page, cancel the half page, continue another page, and this will take up most of their space. So don't be intimidated by people who are actually asking for scholarship, because you don't actually need, as long as you know what you're writing, just put down what you know that you have read and answer those questions, and that's all. So don't get intimidated by people who are asking for extra sheets, or people are asking for extra people, or whatever. Just write what you know, and just pray that God will actually help. Now, another tip is avoid looking at the clock always. Now, this is one thing I know that a lot of people do when they are writing an exam. They're looking at, okay, what's the time now? What's the time now? What's the time now? And before you know, they use almost, if your exam is 10 minutes, they use 5 minutes to look at the clock, then 5 minutes to write your exam. Yes, it's important to look at the clock, to look at the time, to know how fast you should proceed or how slow you could continue. No, it's not advisable for you to continue slow, but it's just advisable that look at the clock, but once in a while. You don't always have to look at the clock. Maybe if you are having a 2 hours exam, I think you should look at the clock 3 times, and that's all. You don't need to look at the clock. Some people will look at the clock almost 10 times in a row. What are you looking at? Even if you look at the clock from now to tomorrow, it's not going to actually write your exam. Just look at the clock. Don't panic. Even though the time is almost up, just continue what you're writing. It will actually help you, because by the time you panic, those ones which you should have written calmly and gotten, you write them with haste and you won't even get anyone. So avoid trying to look at the time. And also another thing is, once you're looking at time, it will actually motivate you. It will actually give you the ideology that you are late, you're not fast enough, you're not doing this. No, look at, even if you want to look at time, at least 3 times in an hour is okay. 3 times in an hour, or even twice in an hour is okay. You don't actually need those to check those time, because, and eventually if you check those time and you keep checking continuously, it's going to put you in trouble, because someone's going to think you're checking the answer from behind or something like that. So by the time you check them, check twice, and it's okay. You can write your exam. The main important thing is for you to write that exam, and that is just all. Just write the exam and submit. That's all. You don't actually need to check time. You don't need to check someone else if they are faster or slower or anything. Just write your exam, and that's all. Now, another thing I actually see that causes most people fear is they don't actually have enough sleep. Now, I don't think if you are preparing for an exam, you should reduce your sleep. Unlike some people tell you, don't sleep for 3 hours, sleep for 4 hours. Use the many times to study. I remember when I was reading, going for an exam, I would be like, maybe I shouldn't even sleep. I should just give myself just 3 hours. Imagine if I cut out of my 6 hours, I cut 3 hours out of it. Then that means I can use the remaining 3 hours to study enough. But the truth is, you're actually giving yourself stress. You're actually giving your brain stress, and eventually this is going to cause this exam stress that you're trying to avoid. So try to give yourself enough stress. Give your brain time to relax. So even when you want to go through that stress, your brain will know that don't worry, I'm relaxed already. But when your brain is not relaxed, even though you are trying to relax, your brain on its own is not relaxed, because it hasn't have gotten enough rest. So give yourself enough rest, sleep, enjoy your rest. In fact, one thing I do is, before my exam, a day before my exam, I just used to sleep. I don't even study anything. I don't do revision. Unlike some people will say, okay, the day before your exam, do revision. No, I do my revision maybe a week before the exam. Then on the day of the exam, you can have enough rest, enough sleep. Then the exam day, they just write your exam, and that's all. So this will actually reduce the amount of stress that you actually have. So guys, these are my tips in on sorry on how to relieve exam stress, or how to prevent exam stress. Please, if you like my video, like, share, and subscribe. So see you guys in the next video. Bye.